thanks everybody for joining us today. Since we can't be at REM5 or do Innovation Lab, we thought it'd be really cool to get everybody together and talk a little bit about immersive technology and how some of the things that we're testing, even in when we're not at REM5 and using full virtual reality. So this is a really cool opportunity to show some of those things to you and show you some of what you can be doing at home to, with maybe even devices that you already have as well. So first thing, just want to kind of start with a little bit of background here that we always go through to start. See if we can get this working, and then go to slideshow here. All right, can everybody see that presentation? So at REM5, we're really about bringing immersive technology to people. So our space at REM5, we're able to bring you full virtual reality that's really difficult to operate, really expensive to get into. So it's really tough. Not a lot of people have that at home yet, but really amazing technology. And we're able to bring that not only from an entertainment standpoint, but working with businesses, schools, finding all kinds of ways to use virtual reality. So that's really what we are all about at REM5. Innovation Lab is really a place for us to bring that technology to you, particularly youth, and show you some of the things that you can do with VR beyond entertainment. So entertainment is really great for virtual reality, but there's a lot more things that we can do with that as well. Got a question here. Does REM stand for anything? So the REM in REM5 is the state of sleep that you're in when you're dreaming. So that's basically the first virtual world that we've ever been in. And so that's where that kind of concept comes from. And then the 5 is the number of senses that you have. So right now, virtual reality engages about 2.5 of those senses: sight, sound, and then some haptics, some touch. But eventually we'll be engaging all 5 of those senses. So that's where the name comes from, REM5. So this is a really great way for us to introduce some interesting technologies that you wouldn't necessarily see if you're coming to REM5 to play games. So how does virtual reality technology work? I'll just kind of cover this briefly since we're doing video here. But basically, you're taking 2 images, and they're very similar images. One's just tilted a little bit to give you a little bit of depth. So I'll show you that a little bit here. When we show a 360 video, you can actually see those 2 images side by side. And that's really how it's the same concept that virtual reality at REM5, as you're going to be doing, you can do on your phone with a 360 video or even augmented reality. Same concepts are going to be used all across what we call the XR space. So augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality. All right, so here's the 5 different kinds of immersive technology, the way that we think about them. So 360 images is really just an image, but you can look at it all around you. So this is going to be captured sometimes with a camera, or it can be created digitally as well, but it's just a still image that's all around you. 360 video is the same concept, but now we're having adding motion to it. So again, this can be something that's recorded with a camera, or it can be created and be fully digital. So there are fully digital videos. We can tell you about some of those a little bit later on. Virtual reality is now bringing in, instead of using 3 degrees of freedom, which is what we say with 360 images or videos, where you're able to turn your head left, right, up, down, and tilt. So those are the things that the headset is able to capture. Now in virtual reality, I'm able to move around. So I'm able to move left and right, forward and back. I'm even able to hold controllers, and it's able to sense how I'm moving around in space. And so it's building that virtual world all around you. So now what we're doing is we're doing this all digitally. So all of these assets that you're interacting with. So if you're doing Job Simulator, or Super Hot, or whatever your favorite experience is.
I love Job Simulator.
All created digitally. Mixed reality is what we talk about when you're mixing things that are happening in the real world and things that are happening in a digital world or a virtual world. So we have an experience where you can use a hockey stick or a baseball bat. So you're mixing basically the real world on something tangible, something physical, and putting that in a virtual space. Augmented reality is actually what we're going to be talking about today. So that's when we're taking the real world and you're putting something digital on top of it, basically just augmenting what that reality is. And then there's all kinds of different devices. So I'm going to show you a couple of things here today, even in the AR space. And there's kind of good, better, best. So virtual reality, we have the best equipment at REM5. That's what we're all about there. But there's also, things that you can use with something simple like a piece of cardboard, which hopefully will pop up there. That's really good for certain things, like maybe watching a basketball game. So there's there's a huge range of devices. Yeah. So we'll try to give you a little bit more understanding of that as well. All right, and just like PC and mobile, VR and AR are really going to change the way we work, learn, play, and socialize. So there's a ton of different applications for these, and that's what we're really excited about, and excited to show you a few of those today. Here's just another few examples: education, architecture, and design. We have our architecture firms come in showing new buildings, new manufacturing plants even, to have customers actually walk through those. Storytelling, that's one of the things I'll be talking about today. Law enforcement, health and wellness. With everything that's going on right now, actually virtual reality is being used to help create some of the solutions for COVID-19. So there's a program called Nanome that's actually doing some really interesting work with researchers and doctors where they can create solutions in a virtual space, and then even around the world be able to gather in the same virtual space and talk to each other and talk about what they're creating on a molecular level. So that's really cool. And then also training. So that's another huge application for VR and AR and all these things. Before I go on, let me close this down. Any questions? If you guys want to just pop into the chat there. Any questions over what we've covered so far?
How do they, like, isn't there like a new VR thing where they're gonna have like a chest pad and you can actually feel the movements on like your body?
So yeah, so there are pieces of haptics, is what we call those, that are starting to come out. So they've kind of been testing them for a while. So there is like a jacket that you can put on, yeah. And then you can feel kind of like thumps or pressure, depending on what kind of experience you're doing. One of the reasons those haven't been at a lot of places yet is you have to build content and match it with the hardware.
Yeah,
so that's really the challenge. Is like, if you have a small company creating a piece of hardware, and you have another small company doing the software and the content creation, sometimes they don't talk to each other, and the market just not very big right now. So
yeah, because it's gonna be it's hard like to make chest pad move, because normal VR is easy, but if you put like chest pads, it's gonna be hard, because if you were playing like Super Hot and somebody punched you and had the chest pads on, you wouldn't know exact moment it would actually touch you in real life if it was like real life VR basically.
Yeah, and they can do that. They can do it pretty accurately, but it's really just a matter of being able to, when something updates, when hardware updates, then they need to update the software as well. So that's kind of one of the, I don't know if you've heard of the Void.
I've heard of that.
That they've got in Mall of America. So they've combined a lot of those things together, but the Void is creating the entire thing. So they're doing the hardware, the software, the content creation. So they're all working together. And so, but and then the downside of that is if you go to the Void, you have maybe one or two pieces of content to choose from, and then that's it. So so that's kind of the balance. you know, at REM5, we've decided to go, okay, we want to give you a lot of things to try.
Okay.
And the Void is going, okay, we're going to give you one really, really awesome thing to try, and we're going to add those haptics, and we're going to add all kinds of different things. So yeah, that's just kind of different ways that companies are looking at the technology. Great question.
Because it's not like it's the future right now.
Yeah, but we're getting there.
Because when my mom
Holden asked, who made virtual reality? Virtual reality as a concept has been around for a really long time. At REM5, Amir can maybe answer this question on, we have a stereoscope that goes back to the 1800s, where you just basically put an image in it, and then the image is tilted on one of your eyes, so it adds a little bit of depth in that image. The picture that we had at the beginning of the Innovation Lab presentation is the ViewMaster. So that's been around since, I think it was the 30s. So this stuff has been around for a really long time. It's just that in the last 5 or 10 years, the computing power to be able to refresh and create, basically make the new images, so that your eyes can, basically can't sense how fast those images are being created. That computing power has just gotten fast enough. So that's really the big change in the last few years. It's not that virtual reality wasn't an idea that people knew about. So virtual reality as a concept is, over 100 years old. So yeah, 100 and maybe 30 years old or so. Basically, since people started making pictures, they were trying to kind of create that virtual world. So yeah, so a pretty old concept. All right, any other questions before we move on here?
Do you know like how because it's pretty hard to use a screen and because a long time ago when they made the ViewMaster, it was they would make it so it would show photo, but it would only be not like a 360 photo. It's like a forward photo that you could only see.
Yep.
And you couldn't, and if you move around, it would just still be there because it's a long time ago. And it wouldn't be a video, like nobody could join you. All it was just a clear photo.
Right. So
there's
just one.
Yeah. If there's a
so just one image just going forward. Yep.
And it won't move.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly right. And then Jack asked, what they used VR for back then. That's a good question. And they were just taking pictures back then. I think there's some images of basically like looking at wildlife. So that was an interesting use. If you had a picture. Amir asks, what's the difference between the Oculus and the Vive? So the Oculus and Vive, the base technology is very similar. It's just the way that they've done the technology is a little bit different. So the Vive is using lighthouses that basically go in the corner of a room, and they've got lasers that spin around and are looking for where you are at all time. The Oculus, at least the original Oculus Rift, had 2 sensors at the front of the room. And then that would be looking at you, basically built to be something that would be more on a desk or a TV stand or something like that. So just a little bit different ways that they went about things, but very similar technology. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is some stuff that you can do at home fairly simply or fairly inexpensively that are at least similar to virtual reality. So you may have seen us talk about or show off a device like this, the Oculus Go at REM5. And this is a great device for 360 videos and 360 images. Remember the 3 degrees of freedom devices that we talked about at the beginning. So really great for that, but it's got everything you need right inside this headset. So the computer's in here. The screen is in here. Everything that you need is in here. What you can do if you don't have an Oculus Go is actually there's these Google Cardboard devices. So these are actually very similar in technology, They have the same, it's what's called a Fresnel lens in here. So that's going to help your eyes focus and create a clear image. Similar lenses are right here in these Google Cardboards. So you can get these or get a kit for these that cost about $8 to $15, depending on if you want to have a strap or any kind of add-ons to this. But kind of gives you a peek into virtual reality. And I'll actually show you a little bit of what you can see here with those. Just a second. So if you can see this screen here, so this is what's called Next VR. So right now I'm looking at a basketball game in VR. You see this little button on the bottom right? It looks like the Google Cardboard I just showed you. When you hit that, it actually splits into two screens. So this, when you put this headset on, this is the two different images that you're seeing. So this is the way, this is basically the exact same way that the Oculus Go or even the HTC Vive or Rift or any of the other VR headsets work. So let's see. So so that's very similar technology even to full virtual reality. So you mentioned Superhot or Job Simulator. Same thing is going on in there. You have two screens. They're showing you a slightly different image. One is giving you depth, and you can do the same thing on this. It's just that this is not quite as high quality. It's not quite the same refresh rate, not the same graphics level, but just gives you a little bit. It can give you a little bit of a peek into some things in virtual reality. So a really good tool there. All right. Any questions about that before we move on?
How do they make the photo of the actual game 360?
So the game is actually recorded with a 360, what's called a 360 camera. So a 360 camera has as few as two, but there might be dozens of lenses all the way around it. And what they're doing is they're capturing, basically capturing video all around, and then they're stitching that together so that it creates one big image around you.
So if you were watching a basketball game, they would have a bunch of cameras, so people could see it on TV, and so people could see it on VR on their phone, and that.
Exactly. There's different ways to watch it. Yep. Exactly. Good question. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is augmented reality. It's not covering up your entire view the way that a 360 video would or virtual reality would. It's actually just layering something on top of your view through your phone. So a lot of you have probably actually done augmented reality. Any guesses on what the most popular augmented reality app is out there right now?
Let's see.
Sheila says Pokemon Go.
No, because
that is a really good guess.
Yeah.
That actually might be correct. I think based on the number of users, I had Snapchat as actually the #1 augmented reality application.
Because on the front, it even shows it on augmented reality.
Yeah. So there is a lot of use for augmented reality already today. Another thing we wanted to talk about a little bit is the use cases. So this is something that's being used for shopping already. So you can, companies like Target, IKEA, or even Amazon are starting to give you capabilities for using augmented reality both in store and at home. So like IKEA, you can actually go in, select a piece of furniture, and then you can look with your phone around your house and place that augmented reality in a location that you wanna see what it looks like. So that's a pretty cool use case. Where it's going in the future is actually fixing equipment on cars and in factories. Actually, Microsoft with HoloLens is looking at that really heavily with their developments. I will show you a video of that because it doesn't really matter as much if you have the audio. But they did a really great presentation when they launched the HoloLens 2, and this will give you an idea of what the augmented world looks like. So what they did is created these buttons, and you're actually using your hand to interact with the virtual world. And the headset there that she has on, the entire computer is packed into either the headset, or she's probably got, I believe the battery pack is probably in her pocket. And then that's creating everything inside the headset. And then there's sensors on the headset itself that's sensing what the world looks like around you, and then building that augmented, those digital images on top of them. And then the headset, the unique thing about this headset is that it's actually using your hands for motion. So you do things like pinch to grab. She had different interactions that she could do, whether she was pushing with her hand, one finger, or two fingers. And then you can build interactions like this. She can have this bird come fly to her by moving her hand in a certain way. So this is actually being used right now for factories. So you basically build your entire model, and you know how everything is supposed to look. Think about it like a car, right? If you go into your car and you go, man, what is wrong with this? What's going on? If your headset could understand what everything should look like, and then basically diagnose and pull up how you fix something right from in the headset, that would be a really great tool. And that's what they're doing in the HoloLens.
Is augmented reality like where only like if my hand was like right here and you couldn't see it on a like if you were like on augmented reality, you'd see like a square. It would only show like a front of the square, and then virtual reality it would show like a cube.
I'm not sure if I quite understand, but the augmented reality, you're still seeing reality. You're not blocking off your entire view. So you can do augmented reality with your phone. I'll show you actually how to do that here in a second. But you're not you're not blocking off your entire view. You're still seeing the outside world. You're just putting something digital on top of it. So yeah. Okay, so the next little demo I wanted to show you is actually a really interesting creation tool that you can do if you have an iPhone or an Android device. This is called StoryFab. So I'll share my phone here. All right, so I'm going to go into StoryFab here. All right, now one of the things with, I'm going to make a kingdom. One of the things with augmented reality is it needs to be able to see a surface, okay? So what I've done here on this table is I've actually put some tape down. And what that's doing is it's trying to find, the augmented reality system is trying to find points that it knows where they are. So if you just have a glossy surface, like a granite countertop or even like a concrete driveway where everything kind of looks the same, it won't actually work because it doesn't know what any points are. So it kind of needs to know what a specific point is. So you could maybe put just like, you know, a round circle of tape in a couple of different spots, and it'll be able to map the area. So you may see that every once in a while at REM5 if we're using the wireless headset, where we're trying to do a multiplayer in the space, we'll actually put tape down so that it's got some texture to it and it knows where to define those points. Okay, so that's the way that I've kind of done this here today on this table. And then what it's asking me to do is actually hold my phone up so that it can map this area. Okay, so now it's gonna build this world, and now I've actually built this virtual world with my phone. All right, or this augmented world, if you will. And so as I move my phone, that's actually the movement that you're seeing there. And now I can interact with these characters. So I won't go through the whole tutorial here, but I'll kind of walk through creating a little scene. So we can move these people around just by dragging my finger there. I can select this person and move them around. I can actually have them run to a different place. So let's see, let's have her run over here. Maybe we're gonna go to this shopping area. This person, after she runs over there, is just gonna casually walk over to the castle. You know what? I wanna add some items here too. Let's see, let's put a gold chest there. Let me set that over there. You can even turn it with this little button on the right that I'm clicking. All right, let's add another one with this. So I'm just clicking on these little two trees here. Maybe add another tree. Move that over to this space here. You know what? We can even add a person. So let's add. We're gonna add a little mummy in there. And I can select this mummy. I can change some things about him. Maybe this mummy's got a beard. Maybe the mummy's got blonde hair too. So there's all kinds of different things you can change in this. And then there you go, there's our mummy. So now we can have our mummy. Our mummy's just gonna wave. Or be angry, I guess. All right, so now if we go back to the beginning, so I just click that button on the left there. So we're gonna go through this little scenario I built, and this is actually creating a movie. So she runs over there. First lady's walking over to the castle. And then we've got our angry mummy. I can zoom in right there.
That's
so
cool.
This is a pretty, and then when you get done with that, that actually did create a video. So you can actually click on this arrow here on the bottom right, and then this top video is actually the video that we just created. And it's actually using the audio that I was saying all along. So if you want to do this with family or friends, you can have people act as different characters. So if we just play this here. You see this? So that's a really interesting
use case. In a second, I gotta go to the bathroom.
All right, stop sharing there. All right, any questions that came up as I was showing that little demo there? So Sheila asks, can this also be used on an iPad? Absolutely. And actually, the latest iPad that just came out, they actually added LiDAR, which is higher quality sensing technology. So it's going to be able to sense depth a lot better. I know that basically the newer models of the iPad can. I don't know offhand how far back you can go with an iPad. And still get that augmented reality. Yeah, so Holden, that kind of goes to your question. So the newer iPads, you definitely can, but it's just something to check out. I'll send everybody that signed up for this a few different pieces of content that are really interesting in augmented reality. Some are a little bit more like games. Some are a little bit more educational. They actually even have like Angry Birds in augmented reality. So that's something you can test out with iPads, but definitely on iPhones and Android devices. But if you have a newer iPad, it will definitely work. Does the end of the video?
I'm back.
So the end of the video on the one that I created is you can basically select end. So you're basically choosing when you start and stop recording.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Sophie, I was misunderstanding that question. So I was controlling where the camera was going. So I was controlling exactly what you see. So you're basically the camera operator as you're doing the scene. So if you've ever seen how they filmed Avatar, that's actually really similar. It's kind of an older movie now, but they actually had that the scene on the screen, and James Cameron was basically shooting the movie with what sort of looked like an iPad. So that was kind of one of the first really cool use cases for something like augmented reality. Yep, Apple iPads can definitely do this, but like I said, it just needs to be a newer model so that it has the right technology inside.
Yeah, like an iPhone 11. I meant like
iPhone 11 definitely will definitely do augmented reality for
yeah.
sure. I have an iPhone 8 and it
Same.
works just fine. All right. Any other questions from anybody? We got about 5 minutes left from what we were shooting for, so so glad everybody could join us.
Do you know how like they how like how they how like the iPad or whatever you're using remembers that like whatever like video you made?
So on this application in particular, you're basically creating the video each time, and then it's saving a video file.
Oh, so like a normal video, if you went on photos, it would be just the same thing except making it like from.
Yep. So you can in this one you can just email the video to yourself, and it'll just be a 2D video.
Oh, okay.
There are different applications and different ways to use augmented reality. Is another one that I use called Torch, where you can pull in things and basically set it sort of in a room, and then it'll save that room, and you can actually change, the next time you open up your phone.
Yeah, that's what I meant by.
What they call, they have to change what you call an anchor point, so that it knows kind of where the starting point is. So that could be in a different place or a different room.
That's what I meant by.
Yep. But it's a little bit different depending on the application. They all operate a little bit differently.